thinking globally, as in geography, we are in a very unstable period after the World Trade Centre's destruction on September 11, 2001. Following the battles in Afghanistan, there is new tension in the Gulf. What do you think of the current US administration as headed by President George W. Bush?
Well, if you have a cretin running the system, you're going to get cretinous decisions made with no thought, because the thought process has been eradicated by a poor genetic balance.
Because his dad was a president as well, of course.
Yes, but George Bush has an IQ of somewhere around about 90.
Right.
You know, how can a person like that handle the multitasking that presidency requires and actually understands what he do? Now, I'll give you a good example. Everybody berated Clinton for having sexual affairs, etc., which really isn't much. You know, everybody else in the world has sexual affairs, so they berate Clinton for having sexual affairs. Now, I'm not going to do a moralistic thing, but he left America in such a strong financial position. It was as strong as it had ever been since the end of the war.
Mm-hmm.
Within 6 months of Bush getting back into power, or the Bush family getting back into power, they went into decline. America now has an international deficit which is greater than all the third world countries' deficit rolled into one.
Right.
They are near bankrupt.
Yeah, they put themselves over as this huge global economy.
Yes, they are heading for the bin so fast that the people in Wall Street are sweating dewdrops of brass over it. They are crashing. They need this war to bolster their economy, because for certain individuals war is very profitable. If you own the arms industry, for the taxpayer there's never a profit, and they need this war. They need to control the oil pipeline from the great oil fields that are being found out towards the Chinese direction, because if they don't, Russia will, and with Russia's technology they can easily, within a very short compass of time, become the dominant world power through economics, not through military might. Remember, the Russians did everything first. The Americans were only running hard to catch up. Yes, they might have landed on the moon, but they were only chasing after the Russians.
You think the Russians, well, they put a probe on the moon, didn't they?
But they did. They were the first in space.
Yeah.
They were even now their technology is streets ahead of America. They have aircraft that are exceeding Mach 30. You ever heard of that one?
No, I don't. No. Don't know.
Yes, America is going on about doing Mach 3,
Right.
and the Russians have been clocked at Mach 32 by the Swedes.
Could you just explain what Mach means for anyone who
Speed
doesn't
of
know?
sound.
Right. So it's a multiple of the speed of sound.
Yes, 30 times the speed of sound.
So what sort of engines would you need to do Mach 30? Would it be rocket engines of some sort?
No, these are terrestrial based engines. You know, they're jet engines, but they're using it in conjunction with an electromagnetic field, apparently.
Oh, right.
I don't know, it's all very, very secret stuff. I've only received little indicators, but the Americans aren't saying anything about that because they have nothing vaguely near it. Even now, their aircraft copy, you know, their latest ones that do all the fancy tricks. They're only copying the Russian aircraft. You know, the Su-27 and things like that. That was the first one to fly standing on its tail, wasn't it? So the Americans now design aircraft that looks strikingly like the Russian aircraft, but the Russian aircraft can land with their wheels up, jack themselves up on their wheels and take off again. The Americans can't.
Do you feel the reputation of the American armed services has been bolstered by cinema a great deal, and it maybe
Of course
isn't?
it has. According to the cinema, Pearl Harbor was a great victory. According to the cinema, they won the war. No. all the theatres of war that were successful now have American actors depicting that they did it.
U-571.
Yeah, and it's all lies, and it dishonours the true Americans who served in the war there. Now, I have no question with the little old GI in the street. He's as good a soldier as anyone. You know, a man is a man is a man, and it's down to the quality of his leadership. But his leadership is atrocious. The Americans, I could show you documents that are being released now under the American Freedom of Information, like all the business they're showing about Osama bin Laden and the terrorist raids. All of this is laid out in a document that's been released, and it was the CIA's plan to discredit Castro back in the 60s, and it's identical, including shooting your own people and crashing planes into buildings.
So it's a scenario which we've seen before.
It's a CIA scenario. At least there is a CIA document that documents how to achieve a shift in public opinion so that you can go to war.
Have you ever heard of a document called The Silent Weapons for Secret War? I think it was a book actually written by William Cooper.
I've heard of it, but I've not read it.
No, unfortunately I don't know too much about it, so I can't comment, but I think it showed all sorts of techniques that could be used to kind of win over the population and to sort of subvert the situation.
They've been trying to bump start the nuclear war against Saddam, and a few people around the world have been shooting down their lives regularly. That's why I like global communications, because you can prove people wrong from one side of the world to the other. You can demonstrate it. When somebody says, "Oh, there's so and so and so and so," hang on a moment, I live there. No, it's not. You know, it's so and so. And this is very, very important, because truth shouldn't be the first casualty of war, but it always is.